I'm Yvette and I paint. Sometimes I paint with paint, sometimes I paint with photographs, sometimes I paint with whatever's laying around, whatever I see in my everyday world. But eventually I come in here and I'm painting. When I walk in, those first few moments, the first things that are coming to me, I'm connecting to that intuition that's directing me which way to go. If I'm too controlled and thinking about what I'm seeing or trying to make a picture, I'm in trouble. I'm not trying to make a picture. I'm trying to get to the essence of whatever that experience was, whatever that thing that got me going in the first place. I love the paint. I love what that paint can do. I love the confidence in brush stroke making. And I get excited over it. I really viscerally respond to exciting paint. I don't like marks that are unsure of themselves, marks that are trying to find themselves. Strength is important to me. I'm not fussy, but I want the marks, though they may be heroic. And I do see painting as theater. And sometimes as I'm working, I just lose myself into the paint, you know. I just like what the paint's doing. There has to be a kind of a presence there, and when I feel that's happening, and it's ambiguous, it's organic, it's just from doing it that you know, it's an inner knowing, this inner life when you think that's right. Sometimes it's, gee, I think that's pretty cool. I start all my work photographing different areas around Los Angeles. This particular location was the Selmar fire, but I'm not dealing with the event or the narrative or anything that happened in that particular place, but it's really my perceptions and how I'm seeing the world. One asks, where do you get your inspiration? Well, it's all around us, everywhere. So certain things strike me, like this cement factory and all these pipes and metal bars and walkways and planks. This to me is visually so extraordinary. You find it right here in our world. Like, what is this pipe? And the way that line goes against this white wall, and yet look at the gorgeous flowers that are kind of meandering down on top of it. I don't want to paint these things realistically. I think you might call me an abstractionist, in that I'm abstracting things from the environment and translating them in how I visualize and see them. The square, whole, empty space in here with the color and the space, the light, the air that's contained within this space. This is a really fantastic spot. All these different materials. Here is this decaying, broken cement against these pipes. I couldn't create this. I mean, it's just so wonderful. How did this come to be, where this flat white against this red, repeating that pattern? You know, why the choices that we as human beings are making about our own environment and in our lives. These roots against these pipes, and someone like I love that. This rag that has just been stuck in here, the detritus, the evidence, this leftover decay, the natural, the organic against the man-made, you know, the sacred, the profane, all together in one place. It's all here for us to see. It's just a new way of seeing and really seeing and considering your own take a walk around your own house. You know, I'm dealing with the shapes and the colors, and I'm thinking about the overall connection from each area to each area. It's kind of reflective of everything I've thought about in terms of how, you know, technically we're all sort of connected with each other. But I'm not trying to make a landscape. I'm really completely dedicated and excited about what the paint is actually doing here. When you're actually in the doing of it is when the creativity takes place, and it's kind of just a release and a let go. And if you're lucky, you have those certain moments that are really euphoric and transcendent, if you will. There's certain times when the paint is wet, when you can work into it, and it creates this wonderful light and luminosity. And that's a really wonderful place to be. So I love when you get the work flat, because it's all of a sudden you see it in a new way. Certain areas I'm building up texturally, and they're like, oh, that's cool. Resin is functioning right now as the protagonist. Maybe I'm also the protagonist here. If I'm not working on my art, I might create some drama in my life because I tend to want the drama, the theater, and I think life, you know, art imitates art in life. So as long as I'm working, my life is usually pretty boring and my art is very exciting. At least that's the hope. I don't want things static. The higher creative places are inside of you. It's through the doing that you make the discoveries about your own work, the process, yourself, life. This weird looking stuff in here, I like this. Even though it's very large, every corner, every inch, everywhere is important. The thoughts that you have when you're working, they stay in the painting. It becomes a kind of a mind map, a conversation with my inner self, my inner soul. I want my audience to leave satisfied that you have had some kind of experience or presence. And so if I'm being true to myself in when I'm working, hopefully that will translate somehow. A person walks out of an art museum and just feels overall better about the everyday world, that there's something more here than what we see in the physical world. There is something beyond it, and that's one of the wonderful contributions of art. I'm having an awful lot of fun. I'm looking at this crazy world we live in that we all take so darn seriously, and I'm having fun with it.